In the creation of any new automotive design, there are always memorable moments that stand out. And those points are the things that you really remember, and again, that the public always refers back to on that particular design. The most inspirational point of this particular car was the split window which Bill Mitchell created. Prior to that point, I designed a full-size rear window at the back end, but Bill walked in and had the clay modelers take a knife and run a slit right down the middle of the back end. That really defined the split window. And he explained to us that the Bugatti 57 SC Atlantique had always been one of his favorite designs. And he wanted to take that inspiration of that car and create it anew in the Corvette, which would make it entirely different than anything else that had ever been built in America. So that single moment of taking the knife, going right down the back of the clay model, was a thing that made this car really special, and also created one of the great battles of form versus aesthetics within GM styling. Because once we got it in there, Zora Duntov walked in and he says, "What is this?" He was absolutely appalled that we would design something down the middle of the back window, because he felt that once it was designed into production, this particular area would be too wide and would obstruct your vision. And Bill was certain that it was going to be about half that distance. Zora was right, of course, but Bill was absolutely certain that this particular thing on the car was going to make it very, very special. As it turned out, they argued about it very vociferously in the studio. And finally, Bill Mitchell had Zora Duntov leave, and Zora said, well, he would go directly to Ed Cole, who was head of Chevrolet engineering, and back him up and take the window out. So a political impasse occurred between Zora and Bill Mitchell, which was finally resolved by Ed Cole. He said, "Zora, we'll keep your rear window, but first we're going to allow Bill Mitchell to have his split window for 1 year." And that's what makes the 63 such an original design, because this is Bill Mitchell. He's the guy that created the point in the back end of the car and split window on the car, and of course all the rest of the design theme that made it special. But this one particular year in 1963 is what really made it go. Unfortunately, we couldn't continue with the full-size clay model at that time because of the AMA ban. So a few weeks later, we realized that we were going to be slowed down because of the ban, and he wanted to get the car built. So he came in, he said, "Guys, we're going to cut the roof off the car. We're going to shorten it from the 98-inch wheelbase of the Corvette. We're going to put it on the Duntov chassis of the SS Sebring car." He'd bought the chassis from Chevrolet engineering, and we built the Sting Ray racer. At that point, Bill had a special studio built upstairs behind the hammer room, which was an armory for the tool for all the workers within GM styling, because secrecy was so important at that time that workers couldn't come in and out with their tools every day. So there was an armory of tools where they checked their tools in and out. So Bill very cleverly used that armory as a front for the special studio and had this whole studio built in the back, and you had to go through a secret door. And that's where this car was created, and also the Sting Ray racer. By that time, I was already working with another project, and this car went upstairs, and it was done by Larry Shinoda and Tony Lapine. Larry, of course, is the guy that really did a lot of the detail on the Sting Ray racer for us, and Tony Lapine eventually went over to work as the head of Porsche design. First, a short time at Opel, creating the Opel GT, and then he went to Porsche, where he created a lot of the 9 Series Porsches that we're all familiar with, the 924s, the 928s. But this particular car is the car that really influenced those cars as well. So you can see that even though it was influenced originally by the Italians, this car was so powerful in its own image that it affected the Opel and later affected the Porsches. So that was one of the main reasons why this particular design has become such an icon of American design and so important in the whole history of American automotive design.